My husband made a scene at my brother's barbecue, but blames me for everything.
Well, I blame you.
I, 34 female, and my husband, 35 male, have just gone through the biggest fight we ever had, and it seems like divorce is inevitable. We've been together for 7 years and married for 2. No kids yet, but I recently found out I am pregnant, and it's so early in the pregnancy that only my mom, 58 female, knows as of now. By the way, this comes from user SpecialDoor9312 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, about 2 months ago, everything was fine in our relationship. We live in Toronto in a condo, and we just got a puppy a couple of weeks ago. We obviously had the usual spats like most couples here and there, but nothing unmanageable. Recently, my husband has got into his head that we should move to Calgary. Due to its cheaper cost of living and the rising expenses in Toronto, it was worth considering. I was not and still am not 100% sold because one thing my husband refuses to consider in this decision is that we have a lot of family here in Toronto. If anything were to happen, I know we have support from them, and out there we'd be on our own. More info: we are very close with my family. My mom, brother, 32 male, and sister-in-law, 27 female, live about 20 minutes away, and we see them and my extended family very often. We are not so close with his family. He has no communication with his sisters and only tolerates his parents. His parents never really accepted me because of my religion, and despite trying with them several times, it came to the point where only he communicates with them. I try to push him to mend those relationships because I think he needs it. His family kind of fell apart when he was 17, and he seems to really like being around family, especially when he's with mine. So I figured with my pregnancy, maybe we can start from scratch with his side of the family and building that relationship again. He was actually on board with my messaging his sisters and letting them know I was pregnant. Here's the problem. On Saturday, my brother had a barbecue, and we and our new puppy went over. About a week before the barbecue, my husband told my mom about Calgary. My mom was not a fan, as she didn't think it was a good idea for us. I wasn't thrilled either because we have nothing planned, and I felt there was no need in mentioning it yet, as we didn't even know when and if we were going to go. During the barbecue, I asked my husband not to mention it because I saw how upset it made my mom, and I wanted to have a good time. He promised me he would not. I see you. Now a bit more background. My brother got married last year and has his reception this year in May after his wife got her visa to come to Canada. My mom helped with the finances for both events. My brother feels like it's not fair that he got a wedding and reception and I didn't get either. Okay. We got married in City Hall and didn't do a reception and got our condo instead. Okay, so did the condo come from the parents? Did the condo come from them? Are they saying we used the money we would have spent on a large wedding
On a condo?
to get the condo? I
Maybe.
think that's what they're saying. So during the barbecue, we were talking and my brother said we should think about it and throw a little party. To be honest, I would consider it now, but my brother doesn't know I'm pregnant and I don't feel like I want to do that now. I'd rather focus on our future with the baby. During this conversation, when my brother said think about it, my husband says in front of everybody, F that, I don't want to feed those people. We're going to Calgary. Oh.
What?
Oh, no.
Who does that?
Husband, that is not keeping things low key. I was very upset at this because firstly, he wasn't supposed to mention Calgary, and second, the way he said it was so rude.
Yeah.
My husband noticed my mood changed and asked me what was wrong. When I told him privately why I was upset, he got mad at me for my feelings and decided he wanted to leave the barbecue.
Opie's like, hey, that was a lot, and we said that we weren't going to talk about Calgary. He's like, this is ridiculous.
He's like,
I can't say anything anymore.
What? One guy says one thing about moving to Calgary and now he's the bad guy? I'm leaving
I'm out
you
of here.
here.
You'll never see me at another barbecue again.
Ever. Keep in mind, we came in one vehicle and we had the puppy with us and all his stuff. The barbecue was pretty much done, so really we were going to leave soon anyway, but my husband made a production of looking for car keys and making a grand exit. When he couldn't find the keys, he kept rudely asking me to give him the effing keys.
Oh my God, I hate that.
We were by the front door and I told him to go outside and calm down, give me a few minutes to pack up the puppy and we could leave together. But he was adamant. When I didn't give him the keys, he raised his voice and started swearing more. And that's when my brother came to see the commotion.
This is so inappropriate.
Yeah.
And in any relationship, you should never be raising your voice and swearing at your partner to get a point across. But absolutely, you should not be doing it in public.
Yeah. No, and I know people who have like, they'll like weaponize like a crowd, or they'll weaponize like a moment like this so that it
They
just
can
makes
yell
the
at you
other
and you
person
want-
go like, okay, fine. Just
Yeah.
be quiet. Like,
Despicable.
and it's,
You're playing a
it
toddler
is. It's,
tantrum.
honestly, it's despicable behavior. So he got into a verbal argument with my brother, and my sister-in-law dragged my brother away, but words were still exchanged. I was crying at this point because he's never been this way in front of my family. I gave him the keys and he ran to the car. I went after him to get him to calm down and wait for me, but he drove off while I was standing right there. The neighbors saw it, and it was such a commotion. I know in hindsight I should have just given him the keys, but in the moment I really didn't think along those lines, and I was worried about how it would look that he just drove off and left me and our puppy behind, and I'd have to ask one of them for a ride home. When I tried to call him on the drive, he said it was all my fault that I caused his character to be assassinated in front of my family. My maternal grandparents live with my mom and heard the yelling too, and that I don't respect him and I should have just obeyed him. When I got dropped off, my mom was afraid to let me be alone with him, but I later told her I'd be okay and thought we could talk it out. In trying to talk, he continued to say it was all my fault, but I felt that he was to blame too, as he could have just left and called an Uber or gone for a walk instead of raising his voice and bringing unwanted attention. I didn't like that he didn't consider for 1 second how his pregnant wife and puppy were going to get home. Talking led to more fighting and airing a lot of dirty laundry. All the repressed feeling and resent bubbled over, and things from past fights surfaced. This back and forth arguing and talking has been going on for the past 2 days. We both haven't gone into work and are questioning if we should be together.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yikes.
Makes sense. Good. You should be questioning, because the fact that he, again, said, obey, I want you to obey me, screamed in front at you in front at a pregnant woman in front of her family.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Never a good look.
Just despicable. This is not a relationship that you should have to put up with. Especially when you're about to have a kid. You want a partner that is going to be your equal, not your lord.
I don't know if divorce is the answer here.
It is.
But what I'm really wondering is if he's right. Was it my fault and I was being disrespectful?
Oh, she's been so gaslit.
Do we try to reconcile or let this relationship go?
Let it go.
Any insight is appreciated, and thank you in advance.
Let it go. It's not your fault. You're being gaslit.
I would say like 7 years and a kid on the way. I don't know.
I don't think
his behavior is unacceptable.
I don't think
by
it's a
no
relationship
means
that can be
is
salvaged.
his behavior okay. But like, I think a talk can be had of like, hey, so like, what the hell's happening with you right now? I guess, well, they've been doing it for 2 days. I guess I was just thinking of the one moment. I guess they've just been having like dirty laundry for 2 days.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is,
I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes
I don't
you
think
say
this
stuff.
is a relationship that you can salvage. Obviously, a conversation should always be had before any big decisions like divorce happen, especially with a kid or a kid on the way. But she's been trying to have these conversations, and he's been putting everything on her, and just like the raising of the voice and the swearing, and now he's trying to take her to Calgary, which is so far away from her family.
Yeah.
That's all very worrying to
And
me.
I think his family's out there. It's my gut is being like there's another reason why he needs to move to Calgary and he won't say it.
Yeah.
But either way, it's like now that they've gone through this whole process of like, you know, no one has stepped down, and it's just gotten worse and worse over the last couple of days to the point where they're like not going to work. They're just like, I don't even know why we're doing this. I think I hate you.
Yeah.
Like that's where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Oof, pretty bad. Well, here come the comments. To whom it may concern says, moving away from your family with your husband sounds dangerous. Ooh, that's actually a thought. His verbal abuse and misogyny will likely escalate. He demands you obey him. Your marriage is not a partnership. He expects you to be subservient. This is not a relationship to bring a child into. Adventurous Sand 6711 replies, how is any of this your fault? Your husband explodes out of the blue, throws a tantrum, screams at you, and leaves you behind, and it's your fault for wanting to go together? His emotional regulation is lacking in this instance. A simple whatever nod or nah, we have other priorities, or even imagine this, letting you handle your family is all it would have taken. My concern is the statement that he wouldn't normally act this way in front of your family. Does that mean he acts this way at home? PM Hidden Scrolls says, you got lots of good relationship advice already, but as someone who moved away from Calgary recently, it's incredibly hard to find a job and any type of housing there right now. Our healthcare in Alberta as a whole is collapsing, and it's impossible to find a new family doctor for your pregnancy, and there are no signs of it getting any better, only worse. I would encourage you to consider moving to Calgary very carefully if you don't leave this man. Update. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for everything that you have said. I've literally read every single comment and thought I should provide more info. Let me apologize for the title. It should say husband blew up at a barbecue. Neither of us drink. This happened while sober. Some people are wondering if we see my family too much, and it might be a lot for my husband to handle. We see them maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, typically on the weekend. Often it's only a drop in to say hello or grab some food. More often I drop in on my own. Some people think my family might be too involved in our relationship. My husband has often said that my family has done more for him than any of his family has. And in fact, when he first had the idea of moving to Calgary, he suggested that we tell my mom right away and move her out there with us. My husband is willing to have my mom move in with us to assist with childcare. Also, my extended family has experienced a lot and are very knowledgeable when it comes to life lessons like buying a home. And it's always my husband's idea to seek them out and ask for their advice before we do something. My husband knows I'm pregnant, as we have been trying for a few months. He was the first person I told, and my mother was the second. Yes, I did say that he's never blown up like that in front of my family before, but he has in front of me many times.
That's unacceptable.
He's done. It's over. Yeah, done.
And the fact that he's probably made you feel bad for these blowups and put the blame on you. If your reaction to the blow up in front of your family is any evidence, because it's made you think that you are to blame for all of his anger and ire, and it only took your parent and your parents and your family's reaction of being like, whoa, that's unacceptable, for you to be like, wait, oh, is that not okay?
Yeah. Sometimes our arguments go to the point where he says that he's going to leave or start shouting at me angrily. I'm not going to say I'm completely blameless, as I do shout back, but at the end of most of them, I end up crying, apologizing, and then we're good again. For those wondering about culture being at play, we are both first-generation North American. He was born in the U.S. and I was born in Canada. He's a dual citizen. We are both of South Asian descent, but come from different religious backgrounds. Neither of us is particularly religious, but we respect that our parents are. We have a second update. We have been talking and arguing on and off since all of this has gone on, and I even showed him a lot of the comments. He thinks the comments are not worth putting stock into because everyone who commented was not there in the situation. Yeah.
Of course he doesn't want you to put stock into the comments that are disagreeing with him.
I asked him to read my post and tell me if I made an error in recounting what happened, but he didn't find one and felt that I was accurate. I suggested that we do counseling, as I suspect that this blow up has some roots in his anger issues, which have been unresolved since his family sort of fell apart. He goes back and forth agreeing to do counseling and then saying that he doesn't want to. He thinks that I need to be the first to apologize and beg for his forgiveness, and then he can apologize for the subsequent things that he did after. When he says obey, he means it in the traditional sense where women in the relationship are subservient to their husband.
He's like, no, babe, you didn't understand. When I say obey, I mean I want you to obey me.
Yeah, he's like, no.
You
I think we've had a mix-up. When I say obey, I mean it in the worst way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
For those who wondered about our financial situation, it is not good. He lost his job 2 months ago and has put in to return to his former place of employment. He's still going through the process, as it takes time even to be rehired. During this time, he has been home while I continue to work. He had received a huge retro pay before all of this and promised to buy me a ring with that money. When he lost his job, the smart thing to do was use that money to help ensure we could get by, and that's what we've been doing. But that also meant my ring got put on the back burner. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't annoyed by that because my ring has always been on the back burner, but I also know that the smart thing was to hold on to that money to get us by. During our arguments, I was finally able to express how I've been feeling in our relationship. I let him know that for the last 7 years, I felt like he was very dismissive and devalued how I felt about anything. Whether the issue be big or small, anytime I expressed my feelings towards something, I was often met with comments like, I don't want to hear it, or I was just brushed off. So for the course of our relationship, I've often had to push down my feelings so that it wouldn't cause a rift between us. And these last few days, all of that bubbled over. He felt that I was explaining all of this out of the blue and under the influence of my mother. I tried to explain that it feels out of the blue for him because each time I tried to express myself in the past, he shut me down. So now for him, it's the first time. He believes I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, that the trivial things he does or certain behaviors he exhibits are not as bad as things could be. For example, when I say he has some anger and attitude issues to work out, his reply is that I should be grateful that it's only that minor and that he's not actually being physically abusive. Number 15.
He's
Let me
like,
get that number
she's like,
15.
hey, I don't appreciate that you're like, yelling at me and swearing at me. He's like, well, you should be grateful that I'm not hitting you.
Yeah, so you're going to get a punch in
welcome.
the nose, a hook to the jaw. You're going to get loaded into the trebuchet that's inside a trebuchet,
And you're in a garbage bag.
And we're giving you the number 14,
Yep,
which is
number
now
14.
the 15, because you got to eat a couple of fists before you get put in the trebuchet. Wow. Anyway.
Despicable.
These guys, just when you think he couldn't get worse. Wow. Okay, I'm not even going to read that. He's just a trash man.
Ooh.
I don't think that I think he's a complete idiot. I'm not saying that anyone else has it easy. Of course not. But problems in our relationship that matter to me should be considered important too. He asked me to make a list of the issues I have with him. And with each item, he provided 1 or 2 examples where he proved otherwise. But what he doesn't seem to grasp is that it's the overall lack of effort in our marriage that bothers me. So an example of his lack of effort is that I work longer hours than he does. Also, my commute is about an hour, if not more. So during these 2 months while I'm at work and he's home, it bothers me to come home and see his lunch plate sitting on the table. I don't get why he can't pick up after himself, especially if he's home all day. He says, oh, that's a minor thing. But I think it boils down to respect. I'm the one who was at work all day and is tired when I come home. So to leave it for me makes me feel disrespected. His response to this is to show me videos of women saying they put up with their husband's minor flaws because of what he provides. It's like, actually, I'm going to cite some sources right here that are telling me that you're a liar. And there's plenty of women out there who would would drop everything to be with me despite my minor flaws.
Then go find those women. Maybe they're in Calgary.
Yeah, go find yourself a nice Calgary woman, you stinky butthead.
Sticky.
Okay. To be honest, I know this is a minor flaw, and if we were sitting together, I have no issues grabbing his plate with mine when we get up from the table, but I feel like it's different when he's home and I'm working. We eventually got to the point where he started crying and said he didn't know that I thought he was such a terrible person, and he can't believe I've been miserable for the last 7 years.
He's pulling so you think I'm a terrible mother?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Well, yeah, and he says that we should get a divorce because I'm so unhappy. It is that.
Oh,
it is that.
You've stumbled across the right answer.
Yeah.
Good job.
Hey, he finally said something right. He also said that he tried his best with his limited means, and it saddens him that it's not enough for me.
Oh, no.
That despite his lack of knowledge, he tried to make my life easier and give me opportunities to use my knowledge and skills to help our family.
Oh my God, you failed.
What does that mean? He's like, babe, I just knew that you had knowledge and skills about cooking and cleaning and doing all the things
and
that I
picking
don't
up the
want to
dishes.
do. Yeah.
And you just do them so much better than me.
Babe, I was teeing you up. This was an alley-oop. I was giving you the slam dunk.
You're welcome.
I was throwing you the dime.
You've been doing so well. You're welcome for that.
I thought we were a team this whole time. You know, I yell at you. I'm the coach. I'm just yelling at you in a coaching capacity.
Coaches don't play.
This is where my heart starts to break for him. No! Because I know that he was at a disadvantage due to his family falling apart. He didn't get to learn certain skills or have a role model to look up to. I feel pain when he says those things because I know I'm the only person in his corner to help him. I just feel like not everyone grows up with the same opportunities as everyone else, but if you want to succeed in life, then you have to put in some effort and hard work. If you don't know something, you learn it. If you're unsure about something, find someone to ask. Eventually, we ended up at a stalemate. I said I thought counseling would benefit us, and especially him, and he says that he would only do it if I apologized to him for letting this fight go on for too long.
No.
What is wrong with this guy's a little baby?
No.
He's a little man baby.
He's trying to get the power back in the relationship because you are questioning him and questioning his authority. And so he's trying to put you back down into what he perceives is your place by saying, okay, fine. If you apologize, if you admit that you're wrong,
I agree.
which you're not.
And regardless of even if all of this behavior is coming from like his family trauma,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't excuse it. It makes
you don't have to deal
what
with
it means
it.
is that
He
he's
needs to
not
deal
ready
with
to
his
be in
family
this
trauma.
relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah. I should have begged for his forgiveness already and been a good wife. Okay. Then and only then would he consider therapy. Well, I feel like I couldn't look myself in the eye if I did that.
Good.
I know some people thought I should have just given him the keys that day, but in the heat of the moment, that didn't happen. I feel like there's 1,000,001 things he could have done differently too, so I shouldn't be the one to apologize. And his actions after that day, due to his uncontrollable anger, are far worse than me not giving him the keys. And by the way, I'm going to give you the keys to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. All you need to do is go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of your favorite podcast apps and search OK Storytime. Boom.
Search it up. Search
Keys
it up.
passed. I passed you the keys.
Yeah.
They're in your hands. Search us up. There is a little bit left of the story here. I think before we finish it off,
That's not
clearly
final plot.
divorce.
Divorce.
Divorce. Can we get a
Divorce.
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 Divorce. Divorce. The thing is, OP, you are operating under the idea that if you had given the keys, none of this would happen. That's just not true.
That does feel like what she's saying.
Yeah, she's
I
saying
didn't
if
even pick
I
up
had
on
just
that.
done this, none of this would happen.
Yeah.
That's not true. Your husband is clearly, he's abusive. He's abusive, and he would have found, there would have been another fight that would have led to this.
Another set of keys.
Another set of metaphorical keys, and it would have led down to this same path. You can't do anything to avoid it because he is causing the problems.
Yeah.
And you should divorce him.
It's time for divorce. He even said it himself.
He even said it.
And he said it in the way
He
where he's
knows
like,
it.
oh, well, I guess maybe we should get a divorce because I hurt your feelings so bad. And he wanted you to go, no, babe, we don't
He's
want
trying
you
to
to do
reverse
that.
psychology you.
Yeah,
Don't
he was
want
trying
him
to
it.
go, oh, I feel so bad. I guess we got to get a divorce now. Don't listen to his lies.
Listen to him.
All right, let's finish this. During this stalemate, he starts to say that once he leaves me, I'll have what's coming because I'll be 34 and single and alone. I won't be
Not for
able to
long.
find a man, and I'll look back and regret this. I really feel like, despite my better judgment, I tried my best to salvage whatever I could of this relationship. But if he can't give me effort to try to work on it, then we are doomed. I am seeking out counseling for myself, as I know that there's a lot for me to talk through. I don't know about the baby yet. I have my age to consider, and that I've always wanted to be a mom. I have my family to support me if I do end up being a single mom. What I want to know is at any time during all of this, should I have done something differently? Yeah, wow. And that is the end of that story.
I mean,
OP
only
is
that you
just
should have
hung up
left
on
him
that.
earlier, but you couldn't have known that.
Yeah. Yeah, a great thing to do would have been to not be in a relationship with this guy for 7 years. That would have been the best thing that you could have done. But you didn't know that at the
You didn't
time.
know that. You didn't know
There
that.
was nothing you could have done at the time to know that this is where that was going.
No.
And hopefully...
Also, 34 is not old. You are young. A lot of people don't find their partners until later in their life. Most of the show Friends is them being in their 30s and single.
Yeah. Are they in their 30s in that show?
They start in their mid-20s and then they're in their 30s, I
Okay.
think. Yeah.